Agile Manifesto. Formation of the Agile Alliance. From 11th February to 13th February 2001, at the lodge at Snowbird Ski Resort in the Wasatch Mountains of Utah, 17 people met to talk, ski, relax and try to find common ground. What emerged was the Agile Software Development Alliance signed by all participants. The Agile Manifesto. Purpose. We value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. The value statements have a form. In each bullet point, the first segment indicates a preference, while the latter segment describes an item that, though important, is of lesser priority. This distinction lies at the heart of agility, but simply asking people to list what's valuable doesn't flesh out essential differences. The Alliance recognizes the importance of process and tools, with the additional recognition that the interaction of skilled individuals is of even greater importance. Similarly, comprehensive documentation is not necessarily bad, but the primary focus must remain on the final product, delivering working software. Therefore, every project team needs to determine for itself what documentation is absolutely essential. Contract negotiation, whether through an internal project charter or external legal contract, isn't a bad practice, just an insufficient one. Contracts and project charters may provide some boundary conditions within which the parties can work, but only through ongoing collaboration can a development team hope to understand and deliver what the client wants. No one can argue that following a plan is a good idea, right? Well, yes and no. In the turbulent world of business and technology, scrupulously following a plan can have dire consequences, even if it's executed faithfully. However carefully a plan is crafted, it becomes dangerous if it blinds you to change. We've examined plenty of successful projects and few, if any, delivered what was planned in the beginning, yet they succeeded because the development team was agile enough to respond again and again to external changes. The Agile Manifesto. Principles. Highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. In iterative cycle planning, importance is given to requirements specifications and architecture documents. However, as far as the customers are concerned, their focus is not on documentation, but on seeing that the software application that is being developed serves their business needs. Implementing a customer value principle is one of those easier said than done activities. Traditional project management practices assume that achieving a plan equals project success equals demonstrated customer value. The volatility associated with projects demands that customer value be reevaluated frequently, and meeting original project plans may not have much bearing on a project's ultimate success. Welcome changing requirements. Welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. The growing unpredictability of the future is one of the most challenging aspects of the new economy. Turbulence, in both business and technology, causes change, which can be viewed either as a threat to be guarded against or as an opportunity to be embraced. Rather than resist change, the agile approach strives to accommodate it as easily and efficiently as possible, while maintaining an awareness of its consequences. Although most people agree that feedback is important, they often ignore the fact that the result of accepted feedback is change. Agile methodologies harness this result because their proponents understand that facilitating change is more effective than attempting to prevent it. Deliver working software frequently. From a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference for the shorter timescale. For many years, process gurus have been telling everyone to use an incremental or iterative style of software development, with multiple deliveries of ever-growing functionality. While the practice has grown in use, it is still not predominant. However, it is essential for agile projects. Furthermore, reducing delivery cycle time is equally important. It is important to note that deliver is not the same as release. The business people may have valid reasons for not putting code into production every couple of weeks. The rapid cycle of internal deliveries allows everyone to evaluate and learn from the growing product. Business people and developers. Business people and developers work together daily throughout the project. Businesses want to buy software the way they buy a car. They have a list of features in mind, they negotiate a price, and they pay for what they asked for. This simple buying model is appealing, but for most software projects, it doesn't work. So Agile developers respond with a radical change in the concept of the requirements process. For a start, a detailed set of requirements need not be signed off at the beginning of the project. Rather, a high-level view of requirements that is subject to frequent change is preferred. This calls for frequent interaction between business representatives and developers. Frequent interactions emphasize continuing commitment of both the parties. Motivated individuals. Successful projects need motivate individuals. They should be provided the environment and support, tools, technologies, and processes needed to successfully carry out a project. It is to be remembered that people make a big difference between success and failure. Decisions must be made by the people who know the most about the situation. This means that managers must trust their staff to make the decisions. Face-to-face conversation. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information with and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Inevitably, when discussing agile methodologies, the topic of documentation arises. But physical documentation is not the real measure of understanding, as writing might not always be an effective and efficient communication medium. Documentation is done as it has been a norm. But tacit knowledge cannot be put on paper, and transferring tacit knowledge needs people with such knowledge to move around and share it with others. The reason is that tacit knowledge is not only the facts but the relationships among the facts, that is, how people might combine certain facts to deal with a specific situation. So the distinction between agile and document-centric methodologies is not one of extensive documentation versus no documentation, rather a differing concept of the blend of documentation and conversation required to elicit understanding. Working software. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Too often, project teams don't realize they're in trouble until a short time before delivery. They did the requirements on time, the design on time, maybe even the code on time, but testing and integration took much longer than they thought. So iterative development is favored primarily because it provides milestones that can't be fudged, which imparts an accurate measure of the progress and a deeper understanding of the risks involved in any given project. As Chet Hendrickson, co-author of Extreme Programming Installed, remarks, if a project is going to fail, I would rather know that after 1 month than after 15. Working software is the measure of progress because there's no other way of capturing the subtleties of the requirements. Documents and diagrams are too abstract to let the user kick the tires. Says Dave Thomas, co-author of The Pragmatic Programmer. Sustainable development. Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. The software industry is characterized by long nights and weekends, during which people try to undo the errors of unresponsive planning. Ironically, these long hours don't actually lead to greater productivity. Observers have often recalled working at companies where they spent all day removing errors made late the previous night. Agility relies upon people who are alert and creative, and can maintain that alertness and creativity for the full length of a software development project. Sustainable development means finding a working pace, 40 or so hours a week, that the team can sustain over time and remain healthy. Continuous attention. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. When many people look at agile development, they think of RAD, rapid application development, efforts. While agile development is similar to RAD in terms of speed and flexibility, there's a big difference when it comes to technical cleanliness. Agile approaches emphasize quality of design, because design quality is essential to maintaining agility. One of the tricky aspects, however, is the fact that agile processes assume and encourage the alteration of requirements while the code is being written. As such, design cannot be a purely upfront activity to be completed before construction. Instead, design is a continuous activity that's performed throughout the project. Each and every iteration will have design work. the different agile processes emphasize different design styles. Feature-driven development, FDD, has an explicit step at the beginning of each iteration in which design is executed, usually graphically with the Unified Modeling Language, UML. Extreme Programming, XP, places great emphasis on refactoring to allow the design to evolve as development proceeds. But all of these processes borrow from each other. FDD uses refactoring as developers revisit earlier design decisions, and XP encourages short design sessions before coding tasks. In all cases, the project's design is enhanced continually throughout the project. Simplicity. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. Any software development task can be approached with a host of methods. In an agile project, it is particularly important to use simple approaches because they are easier to change. It is easier to add something to a process that is too simple than it is to take something away from a process that's too complicated. Hence, there is a strong taste of minimalism in all the agile methods. Include only what everybody needs rather than what anybody needs, to make it easier for teams to add something that addresses their own particular needs. Simple, clear purpose and principles give rise to complex, intelligent behavior, says Dee Hock, former CEO of Visa International. Complex rules and regulations give rise to simple, stupid behavior. No methodology can ever address all the complexity of a modern software project. Giving people a simple set of rules and encouraging their creativity will produce far better outcomes than imposing complex, rigid regulations. Self-organizing teams. The best architectures, requirements and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Contrary to popular belief that form doesn't follow function, form follows failure. The form of made things is always subject to change in response to their real or perceived shortcomings, their failures to function properly, according writes Henry Petrosky, civil engineering professor and author of The Evolution of Useful Things. Stuart Brand writes that the form follows function idea has misled architects into believing that they could predict how buildings would actually be used. Petrosky's views are similar to one of the two key points of this principle, that the best designs, architectures, requirements, emerge from iterative development and use rather than from early plans. The second point of the principle is that emergent properties, emergence, a key property of complex systems, roughly translates to innovation and creativity in human organizations, are best generated from self-organizing teams in which the interactions are high and the process rules are few. Refine and reflect. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. Agile methods are not something that are to be followed blindly. One may start with one of these processes. It is to be remembered that one cannot come up with the right process for every situation. So any agile team must refine and reflect as it goes along, constantly improving its practices in its local circumstances. Case in point. Agile transformation at Sankhya Infotech. A case study. Sankhya Infotech, a mid-sized software development firm, faced mounting challenges related to project management and delivery. By late 2020, delays in product launches and rising customer dissatisfaction prompted the leadership to consider a shift towards agile methodologies. Background. Prior to adopting Agile, Sankhya Infotech utilized a traditional waterfall model, which often resulted in rigid timelines and misalignment with customer needs. Projects were frequently delayed due to unforeseen changes and lengthy approval processes. The leadership recognized the need for a more flexible approach to better respond to market demands and customer feedback. Implementation of Agile principles. In early 2021, the company initiated its Agile transformation by training its employees in Agile methodologies, particularly Scrum. The leadership engaged a certified Agile coach to guide the transition. The training included workshops and hands-on sessions that emphasized the core principles of Agile. The first significant change was the establishment of cross-functional teams. Each team consisted of developers, testers, and product owners, ensuring that diverse perspectives were incorporated from the outset. This collaboration fostered a culture of shared ownership and accountability. Daily stand-up meetings became a staple, allowing team members to discuss progress, identify blockers, and adjust priorities swiftly. Iterative development and customer feedback. One of the most transformative aspects of the Agile implementation was the focus on iterative development. Sankhya Infotech adopted 2-week sprints, during which teams would work on predefined user stories from the product backlog. At the end of each sprint, teams conducted sprint reviews, demonstrating completed work to stakeholders and collecting feedback. This feedback loop proved invaluable. For instance, during the development of a new customer relationship management (CRM) system, initial user stories revealed that users prioritized mobile functionality over some of the originally planned features. By incorporating this feedback early, the team pivoted and delivered a mobile-friendly version ahead of schedule, leading to increased user satisfaction and engagement. Measuring success. As the Agile approach took hold, Sankhya Infotech began to measure its success through various metrics. The velocity of teams, which tracks the amount of work completed in a sprint, improved steadily. Customer satisfaction scores rose significantly as users felt more involved in the development process and saw their feedback implemented quickly. Moreover, the company experienced a reduction in time to market for new features, enabling them to stay competitive in a fast-paced industry. Team morale also improved, with employees reporting a greater sense of empowerment and job satisfaction due to their active involvement in decision-making processes. Challenges and adaptations. Despite the overall success, the transition was not without challenges. Some team members were initially resistant to the new way of working, accustomed as they were to traditional methods. To address this, leadership emphasized continuous training and open communication, creating forums for team members to voice concerns and share experiences. Additionally, the organization needed to adapt its performance evaluation metrics to align with Agile principles. Instead of focusing solely on individual output, the emphasis shifted to team performance and collaboration, fostering a culture that rewarded collective success. For more lectures on organizational behavior and other subjects, subscribe to the channel.